Hi there, it's Jen from modernmedicinelady.com and the Empathic Woman System, and the word of the day is done, as in the party is over and it is time to go home, and it's time to call it good. And I choose this word for a couple reasons. One reason is because in thinking about my word yesterday, which was calm, I was thinking about how incredibly important it is to recognize when we are hitting our wall, when we are maxing out, and when we are done, so that we don't push beyond our ability to stay calm, to stay grounded. And we don't risk getting ourselves into a fight, into a state, into feeling anxious and freaked out and scared and agitated and all of that fun stuff. I also picked this word because I was having some correspondence with somebody earlier today who was down in Boston at the counter protests, and how they were commenting about how important that calm was, but also how they knew they were done when the official gathering was over and they got themselves home and they were home safely. But conversely, I was aware of some other people who were reporting about stuff starting to break out and agitators starting to try to basically incite violence with other people after the official event was over. So things were done. And it really had me thinking about how incredibly important it is for us to recognize when it's time to call something good. How important it is to recognize when something is done and that we do not need to keep going and going and going. And certainly in my experience as a healer, I have found this to be very true, that there is a sweet spot of going deep enough to really be able to get into the root of it and move it. But then there's a point when if I go beyond that, I'm going to push it too far and somebody is going to get too tired, too overwhelmed. It's going to be too much work for one sitting. And that is also true with the work that I do as a tattooer, that there is a point at which the body is done. And it's very important to recognize when we've hit that wall. And I was thinking about how often, especially when I was younger, I had a much harder time recognizing when I was done, and how so frequently the not calling it good, not recognizing when something was already complete, was the stuff that got me into the most trouble. I can think of examples of this from relationships that I was in where I was staying way past the expiration date. I can think of examples where I was in like social situations or out and about at night or something, and I stayed later than I needed to, and I put myself in harm's way, even just for the basics of trying to find a way to get home when suddenly there's no subway and, and I'm kind of stranded in a city. And the things that now I understand because I've gotten older, but then often I would push beyond what made sense. And another example would be even back in my glorious misspent youth, where I would be at that perfect spot of a pleasant buzz with, maybe one or two glasses of wine or some other kind of drink. And I would feel so good that I'd decide I needed to have another drink to sort of sustain it. And what I noticed was it was often that point where I wanted to preserve it, but what I actually did was I pushed over the hump and I ruined it. I've also had this experience when it comes to making art, where I would be working on something, it would hit that sweet spot where I'd be really happy with it, and instead of calling it good, I would take that paintbrush or, that sculpting tool or whatever, and I would push it just one step further, and all of a sudden I would just ruin the whole thing. So what I have found is that there is a very fine line between enough and more than enough. And that part of the art of staying calm is about recognizing when we're done. So my question to you right now is, how do you know when it's time to call something good? How do you know when you're done? And do you exit when it's the right time to exit? Or do you sometimes find yourself overstaying your welcome? So I would love to hear what you have to say about all of this. Please leave a comment below. And until next word of the day, I'm wishing you peace, I'm wishing you ease, and I'm wishing you that ability to recognize when you are done. So, in the meantime, please go like my Facebook page, Modern Medicine Lady LLC, and I will be eternally grateful for your help to get this video out into the world. Please like it, please share it, and please pass it along to other people who would find it useful. Thank you so much, and until tomorrow, peace.